Hey everybody, Dev here, back from YouNerded.com, here with another review for episode 4 of the night of, titled The Art of War. This episode was absolutely amazing. I thought it was one of the best episodes, or the best episode of the season so far. I know we have 4 more to go, but just from the 4 we've gotten, definitely top notch here. I thought everything that was presented in terms of the story with Nas in the prison and out of the prison was very effective, especially in the hearings and sort of towards the end there. And also we got some stuff with John and sort of him becoming detective. But I wanted to sort of start with Nas in the prison. So what happens with Nas in the prison this episode is that he sort of finds sort of a mentor in Calvin Hart, who's the guy who was telling him to, you have to act tough without seeming like an alpha male to the point where, the bigger guys, they feel threatened by you. You just have to sort of stand your ground and sort of this sort of like weird middle area. But he was sort of, mentored him around. He said, this is what you do in the prison. This is what you don't do. By the end of the episode, we see Nas is sort of catching on to the rules and sort of trying to hold his own and trying to survive pretty much. But as the episode goes on, we see him get cut in the arm. We see by the end, Calvin turns on him and he gets thrown the homemade acid on him too. And sort of what that brings in is Freddie into the fray here. And we got to see Freddie sort of develop as a character alongside Nas in the prison. And my thought last week was that I didn't really know why Freddie wanted to protect Nas. And I thought, maybe he had some ulterior motives there. Maybe he wanted to protect him for just some kind of other reason. It was actually sort of, in an innocent way, it was knowledge. He saw that Nas was, some bright-eyed college kid and he wanted to learn. And I really like that what we saw in Freddie's cell was he pointed to his diploma saying that's the thing he's proud of the most. And he's proud of learning. And you see that when he talks to Nas about the 2 books that are the most read in the prison, and that his biggest thing is he wants to learn, and that's why he wants Nas's protection. So I think that's a sort of a twist there, which you would expect from a prison inmate, why he would want to protect somebody. I thought that was a shift from the whole stereotypical, maybe he wants them for, other reasons or things like that. Another aspect of this episode I liked was the hearings in the courtroom. We had a couple of them here, and it was just quite intense seeing everything go back and forth, and sort of Nas's fate being things are in his favor, then they're out of his favor, then they're in his favor, and just this whole back and forth. So what we got ultimately was Nas not taking the plea deal. So the whole thing with that was, Nas got offered 15 years for manslaughter instead of maybe 25 to life, or life in prison for the actual gruesome murder of Andrea. But I loved his talk with Chandra, who actually was sitting there to tell Nas to sort of take the plea, because Allison Crowe, who was the lawyer that was introduced last episode, she was telling, hey, talk some sense into him because I think he's not going to take this. Chandra throws that out of the window and sort of tells Nas how it is, and is very blunt. She says, if you think you did it, take the deal. If you didn't, don't take it. As simple as that. And Nas sort of really adhered to that. The whole build up to that moment in the courtroom where he denies the plea deal is quite intense, because I put myself in Nas's shoes in that situation. Honestly, I wouldn't know what I would do. So it was kind of intense, because either way, it's there's a pro and there's obviously a con to every way he could have went, but he stuck to his gut and he took Chandra's advice, and it was, he didn't do this. He truly believes he didn't do this murder. Whether we know that yet, we're somewhat sure, but there's still a lot of mysteries to be unraveled here. But he truly believes he didn't do this, and he didn't take the deal. Now it's going to trial. And with Nas's denial of the murder of Andrea, that the case has to now go to trial. And now Allison, she's like, she can't do this for free anymore, because now it's gonna cost everybody in this whole scenario. Where that leaves us is either John comes back and sort of does it pro bono and sort of help from the sidelines like he's been doing, or Chandra sort of steps up and becomes she's gonna help Nas. So I'll be really excited to see where Nas and Chandra's relationship goes after, she sort of pushed him in sort of his direction, and that's what happened at the end. It was denied, and now it has to go to trial. Now a jury has to decide. Lastly, I want to talk about this episode was John. He had a lot of spotlight in this episode, and I'm really liking where his character is going. We saw him sort of, go back down to the bottom after getting a taste what's up here with, a big case, national case like Nas's that's gonna, garner a lot of attention, get him more credibility as a lawyer. We saw him sort of down in the dumps, sort of having to defend a guy who obviously assaulted a guy in a barbershop. You had the prostitute who, got caught for street walking and things like that. And you can just tell he's sort of defeated by this, and sort of, I really don't want to do this type of work. I really want to help people who, he wants to help Nas and people who are innocent. He really wants to fight for that. And you see that he has that need for justice. So that's what we got from his character here. And another thing, we saw him play detective a little bit. He was sort of sitting far away from Andrea's funeral, but we got a little snippet of Don Taylor, who's Andrew's stepfather, and another guy arguing. He was kind of livid that he was there at the funeral. And I'm pretty sure they're going to explore more, but it is curious to why, he got mad. Maybe the guy at the funeral had something to do with the murder. I know it's kind of far-fetched, but maybe he was there, and then Don Taylor's like, you can't, it's too obvious that you're here. You can't do anything. So who knows if that's going to go. I'm sure we're going to get more information in the next 4 episodes, but I'm just excited to see what happened. And just to wrap up, like I said, I really like what happened in the prison this week with Freddie. Nas finally has Freddie's protection, and just to see how that's going to affect Calvin, who threw the whole homemade acid on him. That's pretty much going to be an inevitable situation where that guy gets completely destroyed, battered, or completely killed. We don't know what's going to happen, but the look that Nas gave him towards the end, just how he walked back to the cops to say hey, I want to see Freddie after not snitching on the guy. It was just that whole look is he has the power. And with that kind of look, it sort of gives us this look at this sort of dark side of Nas that we don't get to see too often. And it's sort of that dark side where how far can he go with this, and sort of questions, did he have a hand in the murder? Obviously, there's more questions to be answered. We don't know much, but like I said, the prison stuff was excellent this episode. We had the hearings, which are quite intense within themselves, and people going back and forth with Andrea's case. And finally, John Stone, he got a lot of more attention and a lot more play in this episode too. But I'm really liking what we're doing. All the characters, the family, they're in this whole bad situation where they have media hounding him, and now you have Hassan, Nas's brother, who's being suspended from school just from being insulted. And all this is spurring from the night of. I know I have to keep saying that, but this is whole big bang here and just exploded. Now this the aftermath of all of this. So we're going to have to wait to see more. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. I gave it a 97 out of 100 this time around, which is a superb score for here, so YouNerded, definitely. I like this episode a lot. Thought it fired on all cylinders. Didn't quite hit the max potential, but I'm sure we're going to hit that perfect score by the end of the season. If you can leave a comment below, let me know. Like us, give us a subscribe if you want to keep seeing these reviews come out. Go read the written review on the site. That link is down below, and then you can get more of my in-depth thoughts in the written form instead of the video. But anyway, guys, I'm Dev. I'll be back here next week with another review of The Night Of. And if you're also watching HBO comedy Vice Principals, I have that video review coming up next too. Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys next time.